Hi friends, good evening. Welcome everyone for today's session on scenarios where non-residents are not required to file the return of income. So friends, this is a very a practical situation wherein we have also got a lot of inquiries from our non-resident clients as to whether it is mandatory to file return of income in India, under what scenarios we are absolved of that liability. There were a lot of questions. So we thought let us have a session on that dedicated to only non-residents, the scenarios wherein they are not required to file the return of income. Before starting, would like to acknowledge the efforts of Harish for making this presentation ready. The legends used, similar to what we have seen earlier, friends. FII stand for Financial Institutional Investor. FTS fees for technical services. QFI qualified financial foreign investors. Schema for today: what governs or which section gives power to tax non-residents, and I'll ask them to file the return of income. The tax rates, the normal tax rates for all type of income for non-residents, be it dividends, royalty, FTS. Scenarios where it is not required to file return of income, the amendment proposed in Finance Act 2020, the cases of representative SSC and agent. What are the scenarios outside India relating to this aspect, and judicial precedents. So Section 5, friends, total income of non-resident includes all income from whatever source derived from which is received or deemed to be received in India, or accrues or arises or deemed to accrue or arise in India. So if at all it is received or deemed to be received, accrued or deemed to be accrued or arise, then it shall be taxed for a non-resident in India. Any income accruing or arising, Section 9 governs that particular thing. Through or from any business connection, any property in India, any asset or source of income in India, through the transfer of capital assets situated in India. So these are the four sources where for a non-resident income can be accrued or arise, whether directly or indirectly in India. Return of income, section 139 says for a company or a firm, it is mandatory to file return of income. So company includes foreign company. So foreign company mandatory to file return of income if at all they have any taxable income. Others, say suppose a non-resident individual, only if the total income exceeds the basic exemption limit. So basic exemption limit is 2.5 lakh for non-resident as well. If that exceeds, then you have to file the return of income. Tax on dividends, royalties, and FTS foreign on section 115A. Dividends other than dividends referred to in section 115O. So, but from 1/4/2020, even dividends referred in section 115O would be chargeable to tax at 20% for a non-resident because of abolition of DDT. Interest received from government or Indian concern on monies borrowed in foreign currency other than interest from infrastructure debt fund or interest referred in 194 LC. So apart from infrastructure debt fund interest or 194 LC interest, any other interest which the non-resident receives from a government or Indian concern on money borrowed by government or Indian concern in foreign currency, then the applicable tax rate would be 20%. Interest received from an infrastructure debt fund, that's again 5%. Interest referred in section 194 LC, that is deduction of tax on interest payable by Indian concern or business Indian company or a business trust, that is again 5%. TDS on interest earned by FII or QFI on governmental securities or rupee denominated bonds, that is referred under section 194 LD, it is again 5%. Interest referred in section 194 LBA2, whereas cases where business trust is liable to deduct tax, it's again 5%. Income received in respect of units purchased in foreign currency of a mutual fund specified under section. So there are specified mutual funds which has exemption of income, which are referred under section 1023D. If there is income received from such mutual fund whereby the units were purchased in foreign currency, again the tax rate would be 20%. Royalties, FTS, again it is 10%. However, if DTAA provides for a lower rate than 10%, then the provisions of DTAA would apply, because there is a principle for a non-resident, either the Indian income tax or DTAA of the non-resident country and India, whichever is beneficial the non-resident will have an option to choose. Non-requirement of filing tax returns. So we have seen under 115A what are the incomes and what are the tax rates. If the total income consists of only interest or dividend income as referred in 115A 1A and tax deductible at source has been deducted from such income. So there is a subsection 5 under section 115A which says if there is only interest or dividend income and the tax has been deducted, say for example the amount is 3 lakh of interest under section 194 LC, and if required tax at 5% has been deducted, then the non-resident need not file the return of income. Under section 115G, it is mentioned non-residents are not required to furnish return of income if the total income consists only of investment income or income by way of long-term capital gains or both. So if there is only investment income or income by LTCG and the tax deductible at source has been deducted. So 115G gives a blanket exemption for non-filing of return in case a non-resident is having any investment income or an LTCG income. Bonds or global depository receipts purchased in foreign currency, section 115 AC. So where the total income of non-resident assessee includes income by way of interest on bonds or of an Indian company issued in accordance with the scheme of central government or bonds of a public sector company sold by the government and purchased by the non-resident in foreign currency. Income by way of dividends on global depository receipts. Again here, other than dividends referred in section 1150 has been abolished from 1/4/2020 because DDT has been abolished. So all the dividends, even which are referred under section 1150 on depository global depository receipts, would be considered under section 115 AC. Income by way of long-term capital gains arising from the transfer of above bonds or GDRs, and these incomes are charged at the rate of 10%. So these are the three types of income, and the income is chargeable or taxed at the rate of 10%, and there are no deductions being allowed. So under section 28 to 44C, whatever expenditure being incurred that are not allowed, or there are no deduction under chapter 6A. Or for example, then other if the gross total income of the non consists of income other than interest, dividend, and long-term capital gains, then chapter 6A is allowed. So if interest, dividend, or capital gains, chapter 6A is not allowed. Even expenditure is not allowed. If other than this income, say for example, if there is a house property income, rental income, then for a non-resident, it is available. The chapter 6A deductions is available if it is falling only within the ambit of 115 AC. Indexation benefit again is not allowed for the computation of long-term capital gains arising out of transfer of bonds or GDRs. GDRs meaning ordinary shares of issuing company, being a company listed of a recognized stock exchange in India. So bonds issued against the issue of ordinary shares of a company listed on a recognized stock exchange in India. Foreign currency convertible bonds of issuing companies. So these are the two types of bonds which gets within the ambit of global depository receipts. So now we have seen 115 AC. Now another section, section 115 BBA. So under both the sections, we'll see later as to when there is no requirement of filing income tax returns. So we have seen 115 AC. Now section 115 BBA for non-resident sportsmen or sports association. A sportsman who is not a citizen of India and is a non-resident, any income received or receivable by way of participation in India in any game other than the game of winnings where it is taxable under section 115 BB, or winning from crossword puzzles, races including horse races, card games, and other games of any sort of gambling or betting or sport. So in case there is participation in any game or sport other than winnings, lottery, crossword, horse races, etc., or there is an income by way of advertisement or by contribution of articles relating to any game or sport in India in newspaper, magazines, or journals. So if a person is a non-citizen or and a non-resident, if he has any other income, also a non-resident sports association or institution, any amount guaranteed to be paid or payable to such institution or association in relation to any game or sports played in India. Say for example, if World Cup is being hosted in India, there has to be some payment to ICC as well. So if such a non-resident sports association, again ICC is not a resident sports association, it's again a non-resident sports association. So any amount received by such institution, an entertainer who is not a citizen of India or is non-resident, any income received or receivable from his performance in India. Say, for example, a non-resident person, if Justin Bieber comes for a concert here in India, he is again a non-citizen and a non-resident. If he has any income from India for from performing or from live performance, such income would be chargeable at the tax rate of 20%. No deduction is allowed. So there is no deduction allowed, and the tax income is chargeable at the rate of 20%. Now we shall see where under section 115 AC or under section 115 BA, the return of income filing or return of income need not be filed if it again consists of only interest or dividend income referred in section 115 AC and applicable tax deductible. So in case under 115 AC it's only interest or dividend income, then and the TDS has been deducted on such income, then that person need not file the return of income, even though for the fact that his income exceeds the basic exemption limit of 2.5 lakh rupees. So under 115 AC and also under section 115 BBA, there is no restriction that the amount has to be less than 2.5 lakh. If the amount under 115 AC is relates to only interest or dividend income as referred in section 115 AC and the tax has been appropriately deducted, then there is no requirement of filing or any income tax return. Under section 115 BBA, if tax has been deducted at the rate of 20%, which we have seen for all those non-resident citizens or non-resident individuals, in such a scenario, no need of filing income tax returns. What are the budget amendments? Recently, even royalty or FTS were included within the ambit of 115A. So, for now, example, if a non-resident has any royalty or FTS income and the rate is 10% for charging royalty or FTS, if that has been deducted by the person who is paying royalty or FTS to a non-resident, then he need not file the return of income. Additionally, and more importantly, there is one more amendment in Finance Act 2020 which says if tax on such income has been withheld at source at the rates which are not lower than the prescribed rate. So under section 115A, dividend are taxed at the rate of 20%. Interest other than infrastructure debt fund and 194 LC, LD and LB are charged at the rate of 20%. The infrastructure debt fund 194 LC, 194 LD as well as an LBA is charged at the rate of 5%. So, if there has been any withholding, say for example, we have a DTAA with any country which provides for such type of income, which needs to be deducted at the rate of say, if there is a dividend income and that has to be deducted at the rate of say 10%. So, if a non-resident is taking shelter of any beneficial provision in DTAA, then filing the return of income becomes mandatory. This is what is the amendment which says which shall not be the lower than the rate prescribed under section 115A. So if DTAA provides a beneficial rate, the non-resident can opt for that, but he needs to file a return of income in India. There is a question for non-residents income consisting of interest and dividend and TDS has been, how will the TDS credit be available if no return is being filed? So if credit needs to be taken, Rutuja, say for example, I'll give an example wherein the return, the amount of say interest is 1.5 lakh and of dividend, and say the rate of tax is 20%, 30,000 has been deducted, and now we are asking how to take the credit. So if you want to take the credit of that, so 1.5 lakh is always is below the basic exemption limit, then in such a scenario you need to file the return of income, claim that TDS deducted as a refund, and then wait for the refund to come. So in this scenario, you need to file the return of income and claim the refund. So if you feel your income is less than the basic exemption limit and TDS has been deducted, that can be claimed as refund from the Indian government only by virtue of filing the return of income. There is no other source for claiming the refund of tax deducted. Let us see one illustration. During the financial year 2021, A Inc., a German-based company, received royalty of rupees 10 lakh after deduction of tax at 10% from B Limited, which is an Indian company. An agreement exists between them and it is approved by the CG. Royalty is the only source of income from India for A Inc. Whether A Inc. is required to file return of income in India for the assessment year 21-22. Pre-amendment, yes, if royalty or FTS were not covered within the ambit of non-filing, so A Inc. had to file the return of income uh, uh, for AY 21-22. If instead of A Inc. again being a company, it's mandatory. If instead of A Inc. it was Mr. A, even pre-amendment scenario, yes, he needs to file the return of income. Post-amendment, if only royalty and FTS and TDS has been deducted at the rate of 10%, then no need of filing the return of income. However, if A chooses the beneficial provisions of DTAA, then it is mandatorily required to file return of income. Say, for example, in India, Germany, DTAA, if the specified rate is 7.5%, just giving an example, and if A chooses that 7.5%, then in such a scenario, return of income needs to be filed in India. Representative assessee and agent. Representative assessee means the agent of a representative, including a person who is treated as agent under Section 163. We'll see what exactly or who is an agent under Section 163. The guardian or manager who is entitled to receive or is in receipt of income on behalf of minor, lunatic, or idiot. Trustee appointed under a trust declared by a duly executed instrument in writing. So these are the representative assessees. However, to become representative assessees, duly notarized power of attorney should be received from the assessee. So if someone claims to be a representative assessee of a non-resident, it cannot be on oral terms. There has to be a legal power of attorney which has to be duly notarized in the court, and then it will be regarded, that person will be regarded as representative assessee. The liability of representative assessee shall be subject to the same duty, responsibility, and liabilities as if the income were earned by that respective person. So he has to file the return of income. So non-resident, if he has given a legalized power or notarized power of attorney to a person in India, he becomes a representative assessee. Then representative assessee has to file the return of income on behalf of non-resident, has to pay tax on behalf of non-resident, and he shall be liable for the same assessment as if the non-resident is was to be assessed if he had filed his return of income in India. If the non-resident fails to file the return of income, as I said, it is possible that representative assessee is required to file the same. It is important that non-resident shall ensure that he fulfills the conditions laid down before deciding to opt for non-filing of return of income. As we have seen, there are conditions to be if he feels um, um, that TDS has been deducted and at the rate which is specified in section 115A or 115AC, then yes, he need not file the return of income. And more so if he appoints a person in India as his representative assessee, then the representative assessee needs to file the return of income on behalf of non-resident if non-resident does not file his return. However, again, representative assessee can be appointed only by virtue of legalized or notarized power of attorney. Agent in relation to a non-resident includes any person who is employed by or on behalf of the non-resident, or who has any business connection with the non-resident, from or through whom the non-resident is in receipt of any income, whether directly or indirectly, who is the trustee of the non-resident, who is acquired capital asset by means of transfer. So these people would be regarded as agent under section 163 of a non-resident person. However, before treating such person as an agent, an opportunity of being heard shall be given to that respective person before regarding that person as an agent. So without that, if there are contentions from the person that he is not an agent, then that shall be considered as valid. Yes, it has to be along with proofs and documentary evidences. There is a question again. If a non-resident does not file the return, then the assessment proceedings cannot be conducted against the assessee. So if he is not filing the return of income, yes, there cannot be assessment proceeding, but he'll not file his return of income only in scenarios which are given here. That is, the TDS has been deducted. So the government is ensuring that there is no tax leakage by virtue of non-filing of return of income, Ratuja. So the government is ensuring that appropriate tax has been collected by the government, and then they are giving this exemption. There won't be a scenario where there is a tax leakage and non-resident are still not required to file the return of income. Global perspective, like we have seen in India, in other countries as well. In Singapore, there is a no filing service scheme, where under which a non-resident is not required to file the return of income. However, it is available only in case of employment. In all other situations, non-residents are required to file return of income. The rationale being, under employment income, the tax has been deducted by the government. Again, under US, when non-resident fulfills withholding of tax, then at such situations, non-residents are not required to file the return of income. United Kingdom in general, the incomes in UK are taxed at source and so do not require to need to complete a self-assessment tax return. Her Majesty Revenue and Customs generally sends the tax returns or notice to file online. Non-citizens who have income that have been taxed at so that appropriate rates are in general not required to file return of income. So like how we have provisions, same way in UK as well, if there has been tax which has been deducted or collected at source at appropriate rates, then there is no requirement to file the return of income. Canada, again, Canadian payers must deduct tax on income credited or paid to non-residents. Such tax deducted is final tax obligation to Canada. The withholding tax rate is 25%. Therefore, if these conditions are fulfilled, then the non-resident need not file his return of income. Judicial precedents, friends, we have one judicial precedent wherein it was where the facts were a non-resident Indian sold his immovable property for certain sum. The said property was sold by two agents on behalf of the SSC, and the assessing officer made protective addition in hands of such agents. The agents held the power of attorney on behalf of the SSC. However, no notice under section 148 having been issued, or there was no notice under section 143(2). So without these notice, the assessing officer proceeded with the completion of assessment and passing of assessment order. Even there was no opportunity of being heard given to the agents as well. Thus, it was held that opportunity of being heard is mandatory. Without that, the assessing officer cannot pass an order or do additions or complete the assessment. So it was held that opportunity of being heard is mandatory. There has to be a say of the person who is appointed. If he has any contention which proves, or where there are supporting which prove that he is not regarded as an agent or he is not actually an agent of non-resident, then in such a scenario, only the non-resident person would be liable and not the person who has been appointed as an agent by non-resident. So these were some of the thoughts, friend, on where under or under which scenarios or circumstances the non-resident did not file the return of income. Two things or two principal or two key takeaways, I would say. The government has ensured that there is no tax leakage when they are absolving the responsibility or liability of non-residents for non-filing of return. And secondly, if the income is less than the basic exemption limit, say as I gave the example that the income is 1.5 lakh of dividend and 20% is the tax rate, that is 30,000. If a non-resident is not filing the return of income, he may lose that 30,000 because as per 139 only more than 2.5 lakh the income would be taxable, so he can claim the entire amount of refund, but for that he needs to acquire PAN, find a consultant and then file the return of income. Thank you, friends.